Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Troy Shorts, and our podcast is Wealth Strategies to Value. And today we have a very special guest on our show today, Miss Regan Mcghee. I'd like to just give you a little background about who Regan is and how I met her. Regan is actually the person who saved me thousands and thousands of dollars on my car insurance. I actually bought a new car and I got the rates and I was so disappointed. And I said, "Oh my God." And the guy who sold me the car said, "Here's a business card. And why don't you give this young lady a call? She's helped a lot of our clients." So I said, "What the heck? I have nothing to lose." So I give her a call and she's all happy and bubbly on the phone. And she's like, "Oh, no problem. Blah, blah, blah." Long story short, saved a bunch of money on my car insurance. So naturally, we hit it off. And I had an opportunity to spend some time with her. And I really just loved her spirit and I just love her demeanor. So I had to grab her to get on the podcast. So I want to welcome Regan Mcghee. So, Regan, what I'd like you to do is just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, so we can get an idea of who you are.
Thanks for having me on the show, Troy. I'm so glad I was
You're
able to
welcome.
help you that day because we did make a really great friendship. I've been living in South Jersey my entire life. I have three boys. I'm married. I live in Cherry Hill area.
All right.
I started, yeah, and I started working at Liberty Mutual Insurance when I was 17 years old.
What? How did you
Yeah.
start working at Liberty Mutual at 17?
So
Like,
I It was crazy. I actually took this job in the filing department over the summer, and I was like, I'm not going to stay here long. Well, 25 years later, I'm still at Liberty Mutual.
wow, that's great.
But I've been with them ever since. I've had like various jobs, side jobs with doing consulting for other insurance companies, project management for Liberty Mutual.
Okay.
I started in the filing department and I worked my way up through
Great.
claims
Hmm.
to the current position I have.
Okay. So you basically answered my question. I was going to ask you, did you do something else prior to this, or has this always been a passion of yours? And if maybe you
It,
can elaborate a little bit on that.
yeah, no, so it kind of became my passion to help people with their insurance because I started out in claims, helping people with their accidents or their home claims. And I think, just being in that position and hearing all these sad stories that can occur from a claim, like just complete devastation.
Wow.
And the biggest part of that was that majority of these people didn't even know what kind of coverage they had,
Mm.
or that they didn't carry enough insurance to protect their assets.
Wow.
So it was a little depressing, but
Yeah.
I stayed in that position for about 16 years. And then
Wow.
finally I said, no more. I need to start helping these people. I need to try to educate them from the beginning so that they
Yeah.
know what they're buying. And then they're not falling into this trap of devastation where they're losing, a lot of their life to a claim.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, Reagan, let me ask you this. What would you say are the biggest mistakes that people make when they're actually purchasing their car insurance and their homeowners insurance?
So I think it goes back a little bit to the claims process. So many people are just shopping on price.
Right.
Like you said, you were sitting in the car dealership, they said, hey, this is going to be the price. And you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Most
Yeah.
people are just, we're trained, we're programmed as young people to shop everything on price.
Yeah.
However, I think when it comes to insurance, that's not always the best route to go.
You get what you pay
Many,
for,
many,
right?
exactly. And many people are like, oh, I went with Geico because it was $15 a month. And I'm like, okay, but you have $15,000 in coverage. So
Yeah.
you own a home in, Cherry Hill and two cars. And that's not going to be enough to protect your assets. So should you have an accident, it could become devastating when you open yourself up to that risk
Yeah.
of, hey, I just injured or killed somebody in a car accident, and now I'm being sued for $1.5 million, and I only have
Yeah.
$15,000 in limits. So
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people just shop on price. They don't really know what they're buying. They don't know the type of coverage they need to protect themselves. So just getting that education,
Yeah.
and letting the customer decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe they have $1 million in the bank to pay a claim if that happens. I don't know. But majority of us do not want to spend our money on a lawsuit, right?
No, sir. No way. No way. So, what would you say would be some of the reasons why my clients should do business with you? Like, what's your value added?
So I think the difference with me is the relationship that I build with my client. I don't want to just write you an insurance policy. I want to get to know you and your family dynamic and figure out what you're trying to protect. So,
Yeah.
I want to ask about a little bit about your assets. Are you a homeowner? What type of cars do you drive? Do you have money saved for retirement? Just so
Hmm.
I can get an understanding of what you're trying to protect. Because
Right.
I could write you an insurance policy and, you know, it could cover you and it's the state requirements, but that's not going to be protecting you. And the
Right.
important thing about insurance is to protect your assets. And I know it's hard because it's not a tangible product
Yeah.
and you're paying all this money every month and you don't see anything. It's just in case something happens.
Yeah.
So it is hard. It's hard for people to, you know, make that connection, I think, and
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm spending this $250 a month, so I never have to worry about losing my home, losing my cars, losing
Yeah.
my retirement savings,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with the relationship part because you met me the same way, and then we had a relationship. Like you definitely, you know, you actually did what you say you do. So that's awesome.
And I
I have
also,
another. Go ahead.
I feel like too, one of the things that makes me a little bit different is that it's not just a once and done. I
Right.
try to follow up with my clients yearly or, at least every other year and say,
Mhm.
hey, Troy, you're paying too much right now for this car insurance. We need to rewrite you and get the price back down. There's
Yeah.
not many agents that are going to call you and say that
Yeah.
or take your phone call when you call them because it's like, oh, I already wrote that. I'm already paid on that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
that's not how I operate.
Yeah. Well, I know you did some cool stuff when I was shopping for a new car, and you said, "Can you get the VIN number of the car so I can really give you an accurate quote?" Like I've never heard anyone ask me for a VIN number before,
Yeah.
so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I just like to be completely transparent with my clients and not, have them have any type of surprise on their bill or, you
yeah.
know, any type of fee that's going to come up. Like, I just try to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we are right in line with our beliefs as far as protection. And, we work on growing people's assets and protecting those assets as well. And one of the things that I come across in my practice is an umbrella policy. And most people that I talk to have absolutely no idea what it is. So, what I want you to do is explain to the listeners what's an umbrella policy and why is it so important to have?
Absolutely. So, I talked about protecting your assets, and some people, have way more than any type of liability protection that comes along with your homeowner's insurance or your auto insurance. So, with that, I like to add anywhere from $1 to $5 million in additional liability
Right,
over your home, over your cars to help protect those assets.
right.
So it's typically anywhere from $300 to $500 a year for a
Very cheap.
million dollars in
Yeah.
protection. Yeah, it's like $1 a day, really.
Wow. Yeah.
And it protects you not just against liability, lawsuits, things like that, but it can also protect you against libel, slander.
Mm,
Um, it pays for your defense costs if you are ever sued, even if it's a frivolous claim that someone's putting in against you. You can
mhm.
use your umbrella policy, for false imprisonment.
Wow.
You know, oh yeah, I mean, it covers you. It's an individual liability policy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That
it's
does a
just a
lot.
really great thing to have. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. And it's
For a
like you
dollar a
said,
day,
it's cheap.
it keeps you
Exactly.
out of jail.
Right. And pays for your lawyer. And pays for
Oh
your lawyer.
wow. Okay. Well, that could get a little expensive.
Yes. We live in
um.
the mecca of attorneys, so we
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I heard a statistic that there's more lawyers in law school than are currently practicing law. Now I
I
don't know
believe
how
it.
true that is, but it's just something that I read, and it makes you wonder, like all those attorneys in law school, they're going to have to get a job, and they're going to have to sue someone to stay in practice, right? Or else
Absolutely.
you're out of a job if you're not suing anybody as a lawyer. So,
Right.
yeah, I think we should all run out today and get like $10 million umbrella policies, everybody.
Yes. Yes. At least a million. I mean, I tell people to like really look around at what you have and what you're trying to protect. Do
Yeah,
you want to, give up your child's college education fund because you accidentally, rear-ended somebody in a car?
yeah, yeah,
You really, I mean, for a dollar a day, like I said, it's important.
yeah,
It's
and it does
important.
a lot. Yeah. So here's another question, Reagan. You know, we don't do business the way we did business 25 years ago. And we're not going to do business in the future like we do business today. So, with the way the world is changing with technology and the social aspects, how do you believe that your business is going to change in the future?
You know what, Troy? It's really funny. I know with technology, you know, it's easier to do things like filing a claim, changing your policy, things like that. But I really feel like customers still, for insurance, need to have that personal touch and
Yeah.
have a conversation, have an agent that you know is on your side and is here to protect you and educate you.
Hmm.
Um, because I know there's a lot of people that just jump online, get an insurance policy, and go on about their day. But
Hmm.
again, they're not educated enough in insurance to say, do I have enough liability limits?
Right.
Did I get enough medical coverage? And then you're getting in your car with your family and
Right.
you don't know if you
Yeah.
have these things.
Yeah.
So I think even though the world is changing, um, you know, technologically, I think we still need insurance agents and that
Yeah.
personal touch.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're mentioning that because I'm in a similar field where, people can buy financial products on the internet,
Right.
right? And they're cheap. So, you could say, well, there may come a day where the public won't need your services because they can just go online and do it, right? We have
Yeah.
cars that they're making where, they've got the technology, well, they won't crash. Like they got the automatic stop, they got the lane change,
Yeah.
so if there's no more car accidents because they're all programmed by computers to never crash, like, so what happens to
It's
car
funny because
insurance?
I have one of those cars and they've been around for the last 2 years. Accidents are still happening.
Yeah.
It may seem funny, but it's actually more expensive now when you have a car accident because if you think about all this technology that are in these cars, if you just have a side swipe, you now have to replace all those sensors that are in your car that were there to help you prevent having an accident,
Oh wow.
but you still had the accident. So now it's even more expensive because the body shop's not just throwing a fender on your car. They now have to connect all these electronics on your car to make sure your sensors still work to avoid the next accident, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, cars are more expensive. So if a car is totaled, it's now going to cost you more. That insurance company is paying out more money for your 2020 than it was for your 2017 car.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's just the accidents are never going to go away.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can put whatever you want on a car. People are being more reckless. I think they're busier.
Yeah.
So, people are driving and texting and on computers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't
Distractions.
think they're going away. Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
distractions.
Wow. Wow, Reagan, we covered a lot today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with me. But I would like you to let the listeners know where can they reach out to you for a consultation? Like, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Where are you located? And that way, we can really help some folks out here.
Yes, so we live in the world of COVID-19 right now. So I am available for consultations on my cell phone or Zoom. I usually will set up a Zoom. If you reach out to me on my cell via, call or text, my number is 609 410 3184. Or you can always email me at Regan.mcghee at libertymutual.com.
Awesome, awesome. I really appreciate that. So I hope
Troy,
everybody took
thank you.
those numbers down, and I hope everyone's gonna blow Reagan's phone up so she'll be real busy in this upcoming month. All right. So listen, you've been listening to Wealth Strategies to Value, and I'm your host Troy Shorts. And today our special guest was Miss Regan Mcghee from Liberty Mutual.